Hi everyone, Sarah from Turning Point here, and I wanted to answer the questions I've had so far on the surveys. And just to be totally honest, I only got a couple, but I noticed a trend with the questions that I was getting, so I kind of want to answer them all together at the same time. So the question that came up the most was kind of worded the same. It was, why do we have relationships like this? Why would people be in relationships like this? Why does this even happen? And that's a question that I get a lot. Like, why does abuse happen? If it's so bad and it's so awful, then why are people in these relationships? Then I think it's important for us to remember that when you meet someone, they don't have all of their good and their bad just written across their forehead, right? When we meet someone, we get to know them, and it's very, very common, especially in harmful and abusive relationships, that at the beginning of the relationship, things are great, perfect almost, right? And that's sometimes very intentional, because if the potential abuser can convince their partner that they are the most romantic, the best dating partner ever, super intense, super in love, then that other person is going to believe it. And it's going to make it harder for them to leave and to see their dating partner as an evil or bad person. Because we even see it with our clients, that there might be genuine love in that relationship, and that's normal, and that happens. So people aren't just like sticking around in bad relationships because they like to be abused or they think it's okay. People stick around because they want things to get better and they don't know how. Or they're being convinced that all the bad things that are happening is their fault. I know we didn't get really a chance to talk about it, but there's something called blame shift. In harmful and abusive relationships, the abuser will convince their dating partner that all the things that are going wrong in their relationship is their fault. So saying things like, I wouldn't have had to push you out of the way if you just would have listened to me. Or I wouldn't have had to break your phone if you just would have given me the password. I wouldn't have called you stupid if you just would have, heard me out when I was trying to explain what was going on. There's always this excuse for why the behavior happened instead of holding themselves accountable. And this can make their dating partner feel really guilty or feel really bad about themselves, and they're going to try to do whatever they can to make that relationship work. So why do we have these relationships? Why do people stick around? Abuse is complicated. Abuse is really complicated. And when we talk about the cycle of abuse, when things start off really great and they get really bad, they get really great again, right? There's this honeymoon period where after something bad happens, the abuser will say things like, I love you, I'm sorry, it's never gonna happen again. It was just the one time, I got really mad, or I have trust issues, or they'll say anything to convince that person again that things will get better. And then the abuse happens again and again. So it's happening in this pattern, it's happening in this cycle. And it's so important for us to have empathy, to understand why it's hard for someone to reach out, so that we know what to do and to say if someone we know is in a situation. The other question I got was, what if someone has some kind of mental disorder and they can't control themselves? There's no excuse for abuse. Period. There's no excuse for abuse. Abuse isn't because someone has anger issues. Abuse isn't because someone grew up in a home with abuse. Abuse isn't because someone, has trust issues from an ex. There's no excuse for abuse. People with mental illness are in relationships and are in healthy relationships and can be healthy partners. Mental illness does not excuse abusive relationships or abusive behavior. Yes, some types of mental illness make it harder for people to process emotions or react to emotions in certain ways, but when it comes to reacting in a harmful way to have that power and control over someone, that's where that abuse is happening. People with mental illness are very capable of having healthy relationships. I'm sure many of you know someone with mental illness. They are worthy of a healthier relationship. They can be healthy partners, and they know and recognize that whatever their symptoms may be or however they react is not an excuse for causing harm to their dating partner. So those are the questions that I've had so far. So remember, after each session, when you fill out that survey, that there's that comment section for you. So if you have any questions about dating or relationships, abuse, anything that we covered over in any of those sessions, ask me. I'm gonna make more of these videos for you when I get more questions. And that's all I have for today. So be good and make good choices, and I will see you soon. Bye.